Under the Speaker's announcement policy of January 4th, 2021, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Himes, for 28 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the subject of this special order.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I'm delighted as chairman of the Select Committee on Economic Disparity to welcome the ranking member and the Republican appointees to this committee, this very, very important committee for this special order, where I think the members of our committee are going to try to highlight some of the early and initial thoughts that we have on how we might address this issue of economic disparity. I'll note that in our first hearing, one of our witnesses called this committee a committee of historic potential. It is based on the National Economic Committee of 1938, and that committee operated in a moment of economic crisis worse than any of us have seen in our lifetimes, really since the Great Depression. The Great Depression showed America that far too many citizens of the richest and most powerful country in the world could be impoverished by unpredictable forces beyond their control. It showed that free market capitalism was both an unparalleled engine of economic growth and, if left unregulated, subject to manipulation, indifferent to fairness, and prone to collapse, as it did in the early 1930s. In most respects, the American economy is more stable and the safety net is more robust than it was 80 years ago. But today, our economy demonstrates more income and wealth disparity and less mobility than it ever has. And Madam Speaker, that's not a red problem or a blue problem. It's not a northern or a western or an eastern problem. It affects every single one of our communities, every single one of our districts. It's not a trivial problem. Market economies don't work if they are perceived as fundamentally unfair. Our democratic political system rests, now uneasily, on the premise that every American counts equally. Economic mobility, the idea that hard work and playing by the rules allows one to climb the ladder, has always been essential to our understanding of ourselves. It defines the American dream. And yet, when my parents were born, more than 90% of American children could make more money or expect to make more money than their parents. Today, fewer than half the children will out-earn their parents. Madam Speaker, I see this every day at home. Some of the towns I represent in Connecticut's so-called Gold Coast include some of the wealthiest people on the planet. But a 15-minute drive from their neighborhoods will take them into cities with horrendous poverty and neighborhoods where opportunity is scarce at best. Addressing that issue in a thoughtful way, in a bipartisan way, is the remit of this committee. And having made that point, before we enter into a colloquy, I'd love to invite my friend and the ranking member, the gentleman from Wisconsin, to make any comments he wishes to make.
From Connecticut, Mr. Himes. It's great to be joining you here on the House floor to share with our colleagues the important work that lies ahead for the Select Committee on Economic Disparity and Fairness and Growth. Simply put, we'll be exploring, questioning, and hearing potential ways to address economic challenges we're seeing across this country. We are, in fact, on a fact-finding mission as we search for policy solutions that create opportunity for every American. Leading up to the COVID-19 pandemic, Americans saw progress. In 2019, median household income grew by 6.8%, the largest increase ever recorded. Minority communities saw even greater growth: Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and women. But coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, something has changed, which is why the work of this Select Committee is so timely. Labor force participation, both those seeking work and currently employed, are at lows not seen since the Carter administration. Across this country, there's a growing disconnect between available jobs and workers ready to work. The government should be supporting and encouraging work and the dignity that comes with it. Families across the country, from Kenosha to New York, San Francisco to Orlando, are being hurt by rising prices. They feel it when they fill up their car's tank. They feel it at the grocery store. And they're scared they're going to feel it when they go Christmas shopping for their kids in a few weeks. Inflation's a tax on every American, but it's devastating to low-income Americans. Chairman Himes, I look forward to working with you to explore what we can do to empower workers to prosper and to expand opportunities for all families to succeed. I yield back.
Ranking Member, and we'll be engaging in a colloquy, just so that all the members know. We'll just be having an informal chat without recognition from the chair. But I really thank the Ranking Member, and I know that we're both anxious to get to our members and their affirmative ideas for these affirmative but early ideas on what we might do here. But the Ranking Member and I were in Lorain, Ohio last week, courtesy of the gentlewoman from Ohio, who we will hear from later. And I think we were both struck by a couple of things. I came away from that visit impressed by the optimism of people in a town that had suffered badly associated with the closing of a steel mill. I came away remarkably impressed by the potential role for education. One of the best things I heard there was the amazing work that the Community College of Lorain was doing, training people who had both lost jobs but also training young people. I personally hope, and I know there's a conversation to be had about this, is that training and education won't start at the community college level, but will start as early as possible. I would hope that maybe education and training might be one of those areas in which we might find bipartisan agreement.
I think there's great opportunity as it relates to education and in particular workforce development. I think not lost on many of us as we look out at the disconnect between workers and jobs available. There's over 10 million jobs available across America, yet we continue to have a disconnect between getting workers who are looking for work and the jobs that are available. We saw in Lorain, like we see in southeast Wisconsin, signs looking for workers. As we walked into the hearing, we both remarked, or I remarked, that there were help wanted signs across the street, yet there's many people that are still unemployed. And hopefully we can look at the workforce development aspects of the education in the United States to make sure that we're connecting workers with the jobs that are available.
That's right. I say to my friend from Wisconsin, I was startled by that sign as well. Here we are in a depressed, if optimistic, town with a big closed steel mill with help wanted signs on the outside of that steel mill. Now, there's probably lots of reasons for the current disconnect. Nationally, I think it's in the millions of jobs that are going begging, even as some people are having a hard time getting those good-paying jobs. But I was really impressed by the fact that you had, in a town where there were certainly surplus workers, a steel plant looking for more employees.
Absolutely. We see this time and again in southeast Wisconsin. We see businesses that are shrinking hours to try to deal with and navigate through this challenging work environment. I know we'll be having a hearing coming up on automation, and I don't think it can be lost on us that many businesses are looking at the struggle to get workers back to work and the impact that that may have on automation and future job growth in the United States.
I thank the Ranking Member and look forward to working with him and his members. I know both of us feel strongly about making sure that the members of the committee have an opportunity to offer up their ideas. So I'll begin, and again, the chair won't be yielding. I'll just give a wave when I think maybe time is running slow. But let me begin by inviting the gentlewoman from California. Really has already made a dramatic contribution to the committee, the Congresswoman from California, Ms. Jacobs.